All right, go. That's tomorrow. That is up. That's tomorrow. And that is it for us today. We'll leave you with a. I can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it. We'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks. That's tomorrow. That is it for us today. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks again for watching. We'll leave you with Sting and a cut off his new album. Take it away.
Fireside Chats.
What is up, everybody? It is your boy Lou Martinez, aka Big Chief Burrito, live with you on a Tuesday. Fireside Chats with Big Chief Burrito coming at you live from Burrito headquarters. We got Shy Girl napping in the back. And today, very important investigative report. Duane and Robyn from the 48-Hour Festival spotted at a yard sale, Mira Mesa area. What were they selling? Thumb drives. That's right. The major question on everybody's mind. What happens to the thumb drives? We all know there's not a lot of profit in film festivals, so I did some deep investigating, and it turns out that yes, in fact, the way they make all their money is by reselling those flash drives that we turn in, 2 of them some years, on the street. I didn't want to have to be the one to break it to you guys, but it is what it is. Here to respond to that criticism and to talk film festivals and more, my guest tonight, Filmapalooza is coming up. The couple that runs the 48-Hour Film Festival here in San Diego, Duane and Robyn. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hi.
Hey guys.
How are you, Lou?
So I have I'll be in the parking lot at Walmart, and you just pull up. I'll pop my trunk. You have your choice of flash drives.
2 for $20 still?
Personally, for me, like Gaga did the meat dress, I have an entire gown made of the thumb drives.
So not only
that's what I do with them.
Not only do you guys, but you accessorize them too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and we have those bead curtains from
Yeah.
the 60s. Yeah, we have a flash drive curtain from the 60s.
I did the math. What's like 8 years that you guys have been running? Approximately 80 entrants every year. I know it. Hey, I can.
You'll be happy to hear some of the changes this year. Then there are no more thumb drives. So
No, yeah, absolutely. We're gonna jump into that. But number one,
We're also going out of business, just so you know.
Let's jump into that though. The changes in there's a lot of things that are not going back to normal in terms of like not just the film world, school, things like that, work environments. I believe like 30-40% of work environments might stay virtual, things like that. But one of the things that it affects is events, festivals, things like that. What are them? Go ahead, let's jump right into that. What are the major changes that you guys had to adjust to for 2020 as it became to something that was already planned to happen, and then moving forward?
I would say that the single biggest change, of course, was just not being able to see people in person, not being able to, be in the community, doing everything virtual. We did some live streams and that, but I mean, it's just not the same. For sure, it's not the same.
Yeah, we miss you guys.
Yeah, exactly. We miss.
We're sick of each other.
I mean, she's the only 48-hour person I've seen in months and months.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we did the awards pickup though. We did the drive-through purple carpet, which was super fun. We did have a lot of filmmakers coming by.
Yeah, we had a really narrow strip, like a foot wide strip, about 20 foot long, with purple carpet, and people drove by and opened their car door and put their foot on it, and we took their picture.
So for us, for sure, that was one of the biggest changes. And then, of course, trying to adapt to screenings in the virtual world and award ceremonies in the virtual world, and trying to maintain our sense of community, because the San Diego 48, I mean, we're a very, very tight-knit community, and filmmakers in general in San Diego. So it was really tough to kind of maintain that sense of community, but we tried our best, and that was, of course, kind of flying by the seat of our pants, because 2020, right? But this year we have some advance notice, so we're going to be able to really pull some cool stuff together. And we're looking at potentially the safety landscape changing between now and maybe fall. So we'll be adapting with it. We'll be rolling with it and doing what we can to make sure that.
Yeah, and we scheduled the 48 we don't have it scheduled yet, but we're looking at later in the year, September timeframe, just to allow time for the social distancing and everything kind of resolve, and maybe we'll be able to do a theater screening by then. So,
any drive-in considerations, or is that kind of a little bit out of the realm of possibilities for you guys?
Drive-ins are really expensive.
Yeah, they're very, very expensive. It's not out of the realm of possibility. We just are limited on the number of them in town and their availability. Like Santee, they really don't rent out, and so we know that some places have put together, even some festivals have put together just kind of a what do you call it, like a pop-up drive-in. We know the San Diego Film Festival did that at UTC this year, and it was really successful. But it is not inexpensive. It is more expensive than even renting theaters, which is expensive here.
Yeah,
and even if we get into theaters, we're going to be probably 50% or less.
Right.
I spoke earlier, I guess some point last year, the San Diego Opera did a drive-in opera for La Boheme, and then they're like, just $400 a carload, and I was like, oh wow, the opera is a little expensive for
right. And honestly, they were probably just covering their costs, because it really is kind of prohibitive to rent out an entire drive-in for the evening. We're kind of hoping it wouldn't have been, because that would have been a perfect alternative, in a year that we couldn't gather in a theater, but it just wasn't something that we could do last year. But we're always open to ideas and finding new ways to do this stuff, so we're not opposed to it.
I mean, we have, a sound system that could work for, a smaller, we couldn't do like a 500-seater or anything, but we do have a sound system that could work. I have a pop-up screen that is pretty big, actually. So we could do something outside, probably not a drive-in, but, if we could get some outside event space.
Like even Liberty Station or something.
Yeah, something like Liberty Station, or I mean, even just the amphitheater at the trolley station in Santee, and even
that's right,
someplace like that,
And even so, last year, like I said, we kind of flew by the seat of our pants. This year, we know some of the changes that are coming up for us specifically. One of those is that everyone will have an option to turn in virtually, and we will not be having an in-person drop-off requirement. Now, Duane and I love the drop-off, and so we're going to work within the guidelines that exist when we do the 48 and see if it's possible to do some type of drop-off event. But anyone who wants to can participate completely virtually, and they won't need to come to any in-person events to participate. So that's one thing that we'll be continuing this year.
Right. Right.
Do you see it ever going back to, you know, the Plinko board and like the whole in person, like you gotta be
Yeah.
sort of rationalizing yourself, like you know, it's not,
I would do the Plinko board tonight if we could. So, and I think
right.
Duane would too. So we love, especially the kickoff and drop off events. I mean, there's a lot of things that, you know, that come and go and whatever, but those two events for both of us are just, they're huge. We love seeing everyone. We love the excitement. We were, you know, both understanding but disappointed that the drop off is only virtual this year, because that's like one of the funnest things. We love doing those.
This would totally not fly in a pandemic space, of course, but we had an idea for doing the genre draw.
Oh yeah.
The Plinko board was going to be used for one thing, but not drawing the genre, but the genre draw. Let's tell them.
Go ahead, sure.
So the genre draw, we were going to have 2 buckets of slime, and we were going to dump the genres in the slime, and you had to reach in and find a genre and pull it out
of slime. Now,
Nickelodeon style.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden COVID hit, and we were like, well, that seems ridiculous. We're not going to do that. But
I mean, we were looking up slime recipes.
Yeah,
and everything.
We were like going to color code it by screening group. I mean, we have a lot of ideas for it. It's going to be fun.
Double Dare style. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. You have to reach up into the nose, get the flag.
Now, the one issue I always had with the Plinko board is that in the original Plinko board, the reason it is cool is because you were trying to aim for something. With this, you were sort of aiming, but you didn't really know what you were aiming. Was it against the rules for you guys to have like the cooler categories there so people could like try for action or for comedy, but then end up with something like that, or does it have to be completely randomized?
So yeah, we tried to do everything like double blind random. So we didn't know once we put the genres together, we didn't know where they were going to be in the Plinko board. We had no idea what was in the envelope. And you know, so that's the way we tried to do it, because we want to remove any influence that we would have on, you know, and now we're pairing genres now in advance. So that's done by, we take a list A and a list B, and we put them online and we randomize them. And then we just, whatever pairs come up at the top, you know, that's how they get paired up.
And we do that
and then
for
we
each
randomize them like 5 more times, and then we take that set 5 more times, take that set. Now, if we see the only way that we, and this might be the ugly sausage making of the 48, but if we see 2 genres come up that are very similar to each other in the pairings, then we'll randomize again to try to eliminate that, so that you're not getting like film noir and detective cop or something like that. Yeah. Right. So we don't want those kind of things to happen. So but as in terms of how they get randomized, it is truly random, and we just look out for those kind of you know, problems that could happen.
And the short answer to your question is we do have to randomize them. We do. That's part of the instructions from headquarters. In fact, when we told them we wanted to pre-pair, they were very against that. Initially, we had to do 2 separate drawings, and then we finally talked them into letting us randomize. So
because that's how the 4 points works.
Yeah,
the 4 points is all pre-randomized.
Okay, so you already kind of know.
Yeah, they definitely hold us to trying to make it as random as possible. They don't want anybody to think that we are trying to get certain teams, certain genres, and that kind of thing.
It is our like top tier goal in the 48 to be as fair as possible to the filmmakers, fair as possible to the teams, which is 2 different things, you know. So we want to make sure that if any issues pop up, that we're treating everyone fairly. Yeah. Whether you're a team leader, a filmmaker, or a team as a whole.
Absolutely. We're talking with Duane and Robyn from the 48-Hour San Diego Film Project, as well as scrolling across the bottom of your screen, the next festival that's coming up, which is Filmapalooza. Find out more about it about filmapalooza.org. So anybody in the chat, let me know what your favorite 48 genres are, what some favorite 48 memories are, or if you have any questions for Duane and Robyn. Michael Keeney stopping by. It's great to see both your faces again.
Hey, Michael Keeney.
Thanks for
How are you?
Cliff
What's up,
Keller
Mike?
says, "Nice to
Hi,
see you
Cliff.
too."
Clifford.
Cliff does a lot of music, right?
Yes.
San Diego
That
Songwriters.
partnership has been just priceless to the San Diego 48, between the San Diego Songwriters meetup group and the San Diego 48. It's been priceless. They have so many talented songwriters that have gotten music into the films, and it's just been a great collaboration. We're very lucky.
When I first took over as producing in 2009, I think I had my meetup group. I did a San Diego 48 meetup group, and I think it was registered maybe a day when Cliff contacted me and said, we have filmmakers that are making music that they would love to get into films, and that's kind of started from the very beginning.
Great partnership.
When what was the genesis that or the moment where you guys became involved with this? Because I mean, you know, you both have your own individual careers, but you both have a love of like TV and film and stuff like that. You know, you guys cosplay at Comic-Con. You guys are, you know, like you know, you guys are one of us in terms of like, you know, fandom, geekdom, loving films and stuff like that. But you also are professionals in your own rights. So how did that, you know, I vaguely think I talked to you guys about this, but I don't remember. So can you guys can you refresh me? Like how did it start for you guys?
Okay.
You tell your story first, and I'll do mine next.
So I when I was at San Diego State, I was in the television, film, and new media program. And
Go Aztecs.
Yeah, go Aztecs. And we found out about a 48 style competition called the 48 Hours of Madness, and I put together a team and we did that. And then the next year, or shortly after that, because it was not the 48, but shortly after that, in 2005, we found out about the 48-hour film project. By then, it's in its second year in San Diego. So I talked to some friends. We put together a team. We did a film called Superhero 3254-A. So, and we ended up winning runner-up to best film. And that was 2005. We didn't do it in 2006. In 2007, I formed up another team. We did one called Detonate. And then that was also runner-up to best film. And then didn't do one in 2008. And in 2009, got an email from the 48 headquarters, that was a broadcast, that they were looking for someone to produce San Diego. And, you know, not long out of school, then I'm like, this would be a good resume builder. And also having participated, I knew that there were a number of things that I would do differently if I was producer. And so I wrote up like this 3-page thing about what I would do in the San Diego if I was producing it. And I got a call back, a telephone interview, and then they offered me the producing position for 2009. So I did 2009 by myself. The first 48-hour filmmaker I ever met was Mike Brueggemeyer, and he helped me set up the system in the theater that night, and for our first screenings. And then I co-produced with Jeff Krebs in 2010, and right about then is where Robyn comes into the picture.
Yep, I was a filmmaker and a writer and an actor in 2 48-hour films, actually 3 48-hour films. So 2008 and 9, I participated with Cane Toad Productions, Samantha Goldstein and David Newman's team, and then 2010 as well. And then Duane and I met, and we started producing together that year, and then the following year. So this will be my 10th year producing, and Duane, I think, is on 12 years this year. So so it just became something that we both enjoy, and we talk about it all year long. It's something that we never stop thinking about or stop trying to make better or find new ways.
You guys met when you both were running, or did you guys meet ahead of time before then?
We met when I was a filmmaker and Duane was producer. So we met in 2010.
Okay.
2010 was kind of a turning point in terms of the philosophy of the 48, like what we would do with, or what Jeff and I were talking about as producing it. And we realized that at that point it was a competition and a screening. And it's like, you know what, let's turn this into an event instead. How can we do things to turn it into an event? So like our first red carpet was like 3 feet wide and 25 feet long. It was like so tiny.
It was fun though.
And yeah, so then we got a backdrop. I ended up getting on auction a much bigger red carpet. So we used that for several years and went through several different backdrops. And then when the red carpet wore out, we're like, hey, let's get a purple carpet.
Yeah, that was a good decision.
Like get a purple carpet.
Yeah. So it's definitely, we both really enjoy doing this, and we love talking to the filmmakers. We love seeing the films every year. It's really something that we're passionate about. I think before Duane took over, this competition was produced by someone out of LA. They would drive down for the weekend, the kickoff and the drop off, and then they would go back, and it wasn't something that was local community. And so I think that's definitely something that that's super important to us, and we enjoy helping to build that.
Oh, I had big dreams. The first year I rented out. I didn't know I was renting it. I thought they were just letting me use it. The theater at City College. Mm-hmm. And the date, so I was going to do like
workshops.
Workshops, mm-hmm. Yeah. I had five workshops: producing, directing, editing, cinematography, and then like a discussion with 48-hour filmmakers. And it was like $5 a workshop, where you could get all 5 of them for $20. It was like a great deal. I had snacks, everything. I spent so much money and had like 20 people show up. Okay. Yeah. And totally lost my shirt, because the day before, after I'd been advertising this for a month, the day before I was to use the theater, I got a bill in the mail for $2,500 from City College. I'm like, oh, nobody said anything about me paying. So
yeah,
I think
that was bad.
It really shows that the effort that you guys put into it every year, like, and since obviously you guys have become closer while you guys are running, obviously it feels like it's like an important event in you guys' life. I remember the first year that I found out about it, it was the day before registration. It was the day before the kickoff.
Oh, wow.
And this, I went to film school in the late 90s, dropped out, and I was talking and saying I was a writer since I was a little kid, said I was going to be a director since I was a little kid, and only during that time when me and my roommate were like, we should actually he was living in San Francisco. He had like a really good job. I was here in San Diego working a job that I hated. And he's like, listen, I'm saving some money. I'm quitting my job. I'm going to move in. I'm going to stay on the couch for a year, and I'm going to write, and we're going to start making movies. And I was like, okay. And he did that, and we started making movies. And I think it was probably the first, because 2 AM Burrito, this is our 10th year. Yeah. So I think 10 years ago, like 2011, probably 2012 is when we did our first one. The theater was in downtown in Gaslamp. Mm-hmm. I remember that I saw a post about it or something the day before the event, and it was like, it's like $150 or something. I was like, it's like a filmmaking competition. I told my roommate, I was like, let's just go halves. Let's just do it. And I had a old 3-chip Panasonic camera that we borrowed, that we borrowed from San Diego Public Access Channel. And it was one of their old cameras that they had, and a friend of mine's dad works there, and he's like, listen, this is some camera equipment laying around that's just nobody's using because it's old. Fuck it, we'll use it. And I showed up, talked to you guys, and you guys are like, yeah, and it was just me and my roommate, and we were literally just pulling people in that were at the event. I was like, oh,
I love that.
I'm an actress. I don't have a team. All right, cool. You got a team now. And at first I thought it was that you would put all the directors here, all the writers here, all the actors here, all the stuff like that. And it was just like just boom, we're going to put you in a team. You guys go make a movie. And then I realized when I got there, and they were like, hey, how many people on your team? I'm like, it's like just 3 or 4 of us. He's like, who's your editor? I'm the editor. Who's the sound and camera guy?
That'd
Same
be me
guy.
also.
Me also. And I was like, and they're like, and he's like, and I'm like, how many people you guys got? And they're like, well, we got 27 at location 1, and then we got an 8-person post-production team that's standing by. And I was like, holy shit, people take this very seriously. And then ever since then, I think I can sort of visually compare my filmmaking abilities from the first time that I did one to I think the 7th or 8th time that I did one recently, just based on the quality of the work. So it is a cool thing to sort of see people's evolutions as a filmmaker from their first film to their last one. And even on the years where I said, I'm not going to do it, I'm done with that, I've written for 2 different 48s because I was like, I just can't stay away. I was like, we need a writer, Lou. And I was like, fuck it, just send me the genre on Friday. I'll have a script for you by 2 a.m. and then you know what I mean? Like, so
yeah. We do know what you mean, and that's, I think, one of our favorite parts of the 48 is watching the evolution of filmmaking teams and specific filmmakers year to year, because everybody learns so much doing this competition that you become a better filmmaker just by the virtue of doing it, just by the virtue of pulling out a film in 2 days,
right.
You know?
And because it's something of a community, it's really great to see filmmakers year to year going to different teams and breaking off and forming their own teams and that sort of thing too. That's really, I miss it, because as a producer, we're not allowed to participate at all in any 48-hour city in the world. So really miss it. We can do it. We can make a film if we want to, but it's, would not be in competition. And I mean, I miss it. And after, like, if this was my last year producing, I would have to wait out 2 years before I could be on a team.
It's like the president not getting the security briefings anymore.
That's right. It's exactly like that. It's an identical analogy.
It's the exact same thing. Okay, so there's always a flip side to everything. So a couple of the downsides that I've seen, and these are just things that might be more specific to the local industry as I see it, but maybe not overall, is that I feel that well, and my take on the local film community is sometimes too much community and too much friendliness breeds a little bit of unprofessionalism, because people treat it so much like a family, you know what I mean, that sometimes the professionalism gets lost a little bit. And then sometimes I feel that filmmakers can sort of build their entire filmmaking year around it because of the fact that they can ask people to work for them for free. So the dark side of it might be that I have this idea, I have a location, I have my lead actor, I'm going to ram it into whatever genre I get, and I'm going to get this DP and this people that already said they're going to work for me. And, can you kind of expand a little bit on that?
We would love to say that doesn't happen, right? But we're not dumb, and we see it happen every year. And it's frustrating, right? I mean, it's not within the spirit of the 48-hour film project. So we are acutely aware that this happens, and we see people and teams every year that watch the film and you know it was pre-written, it was sometimes even pre-blocked, sometimes costume, costumes are allowed, but fully fleshed out ideas, and we know that. I mean,
dance routines.
Well, there was that.
That has
yeah,
happened.
we need that as an example. Yeah,
non-specific, but yes.
Yeah, exactly. However, I will say, for our part, we try to put our trust out there. We trust filmmakers to do the right thing. We do. We take you at your word unless there's proof that you're lying, and that's kind of the thing. Duane and I, we don't want to be policing every team. We don't want to be up everybody's butt trying to find out if they're following the rules. Most people are following them. Most people are adults. So when we do get information that's actual proof that a team is not following the rules, then we deal with it accordingly. And we know the film you're alluding to. that film was disqualified last year, and it took a while to get there because it took us a while to get the proof. But you know, we don't love seeing that, but we do know that it happens, and I think that is part of the push. Like you said, you get people for free for the weekend, right? Because this is a volunteer competition, and so it's cruddy that a team would do that. We don't like it.
I guess
encourage it.
from a competition standpoint, but then my overall point about filmmakers is that if you're trying to be a better filmmaker, then yes, the 48 is an incredible team building exercise. It's a great way to test your team's ability to run and gun, to work under, because at this level, indie filmmaking is about fixing things and making mistakes. An actress didn't show up, our location fell through. We're missing the camera guy, had a car accident. We're shooting everything on the iPhone, but we got great sound. It's at this level of filmmaking, it's decision making and problem solving, right? So it is and I've worked with people on crew and I've worked with people that have been extras on 48s that then ended up on a poster from my feature. Dominic was an extra year one, and then by 2 years later, he was in a film. He was starring in a feature, and he's in a film that I just got into another festival right now. So it is a great way to meet people, branch out. But again, I think that some filmmakers that say they're trying to expand their things, but they're really the only thing that they do is that. And I think somehow there is a little bit of taking advantage of that because of the fact that since it's a volunteer thing, it's like, hey, I can ask a makeup artist to work for free this weekend with zero regards to like their kit fee or nothing like that. I can just ask straight out.
Well, we do want to say that you can reimburse for kit fee for the 48. You can reimburse for goods. And so you can reimburse gas. You can reimburse people for food. You just can't simply just pay them for their time. So if someone is using their camera that they would normally rent out, you can reimburse for camera rental fees. You can reimburse for the kit fee. That's important to us because the kit fee is actual goods, right? That you're using. The person is using up consumables. So
the thing is,
the literal miles on the camera, right?
What's that?
The literal miles on the red camera that tracks usage, right?
Right, exactly.
So the thing is that you can't hire an individual. Now you can rent gear,
right?
And you can reimburse people for an expense, but you can't hire an individual. So you can't hire a cinematographer, you can't hire a cameraman, you can't hire a makeup artist. You can reimburse all those people for any expenses that they have, but they're supposed to be doing it for free. Absolutely. And the other thing is that for teams that do the 48 within the spirit of the 48, the filmmakers that do it that way, I feel, and I know from experience, I was a much better filmmaker even after, all the stuff that I did at San Diego State. And prior to that, I was a much better filmmaker after my first 48 because, I stuck within the spirit of the competition. And it was difficult. It was really hard, but it teaches you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, my bigger point was about, because there's people that do it, and then there's people that are like that will talk down to people that still do it, and that I'm above that. What are you wasting your time with?
That does happen in San Diego, but let me tell you, from what we've heard about LA and the 48 in LA, it's pretty harsh. It's pretty harsh.
Yeah.
And here, when someone wins, or wins an award or something, I mean, it's nothing but we love the community because everyone is so supportive of everyone else. And when they win an award, and the first person to congratulate
Jason was robbed. I'm sorry.
I loved Jace's role, and his nomination was well deserved, and I love that film. It's a great film. It's a fantastic film, start to finish. The whole thing was great. We loved it.
I appreciate that. I'm just giving you. I didn't mean to cut you off, Duane. Sorry.
It's all good. I was
But
just saying that
people
that
are allowed
win-
to feel that way for sure, right?
a
But
lot
I
of
think
times
that,
the first person to congratulate a winner is the person that didn't win.
yeah.
Right, is the person that came in second
And
place.
stories that we've heard from LA, like as soon as awards start being given out, if a film is not included in those awards, the theater clears. Like people leave in the middle, people will leave in the middle of an award show, and it's not the same feeling that we have here. But your point about filmmakers kind of using the 48 as an opportunity to put together a team for free, we know people do that. We know that they do it. That's definitely not the point, right, of the competition. It's more like what we would love to see is that the opportunity that happens during the 48 then branches out and people actually work with each other and get each other paid work throughout the year. I mean, that's the goal, right? If you want to be a filmmaker, you want to be getting paid for it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I just, like I said, I see myself as an advocate for filmmakers, and there's no mistake that a filmmaker can make that I haven't already made multiple times. And one of the things that I've ranted about recently is, most film festivals that are either quarterly or monthly are ripoffs, because I've seen what it takes, what you guys do, what Miguel does at Horrible Imaginings, what Ethan does for San Diego Latino Film Festival. I've seen behind the scenes what it takes to curate a yearly festival. Mm-hmm. And for you guys to do competitions, I know that the work that goes in, and I know that the way to do it right is to be upfront with people about what the process is, what the expectations are, what the judging process is. Mm-hmm. And I think, unfortunately, there's an entire industry and some of those film festivals that are monthly that it's basically trading cash for laurels. And if you're a filmmaker and you want to do that, that's fine. But at some point you have to grow as a filmmaker. So if you use the 48 as a jumping off part, you meet your team, you guys do it every couple of years as a team building. Like every time the 48 is coming up, I get inboxes from Team Burrito, and they're like, hey, I know you said that you weren't doing it anymore, but we really want to do it again this year. And then I'm like, oh, and they're like, come on, Big Chief Burrito, you're the chief, we need you. And I'm like, oh God. But what I think is here are the things that I love the most about it: the team building, the exercise, the community, the genre building. One of the things me and my writing partner would do is we would sit down, and I know this is legal, and we would sit down and we would just brainstorm every genre.
Yeah,
and I never had a sci-fi idea, but a few years ago we were like, okay, what if we get sci-fi? And I was like, okay, there's a bunch of aliens and they're going to kill the human race, and the way they're going to kill us is by making us sterile, by having sex with all the men, and all they need to do is not have sex with the aliens and we'll be fine, but we can't. So in my big board,
if someone showed me that and said, who wrote this, I would say Martinez wrote it.
And so under sci-fi, in my big board for genres, under sci-fi, all it said was, don't fuck the aliens. Right? That's it. On my big board of genres.
You know
right?
what? That is so within the rules. I love it. That's actually fantastic. If everybody could have a one-liner for every genre every year, I think the writing would probably go better. That's awesome.
And the other thing was, the other one was, and there was a couple others that were kind of like that. So cut to a couple of years later, I never got sci-fi in the 48. Oh. But with our friend Ty Mabry, they were closing down the Bang Zoom Pow studio, and he's like, man, I got a month left. If you want to film something here now. And I looked at my thing and I was like, the sci-fi movie, I can make that. So I wrote Alien Story, which is a short that got into some festivals as well, which is literally about a bunch of hot aliens sent to kill us. And it got into some sci-fi festivals, and it was just a brainstorming session from the 48 that put that idea into my head. So one of the best things about it is the pre-work that goes in, and making your mind as a filmmaker say, if I had to make a romance, if I had to make a drama, what would my drama be? And it's a great exercise. The other underrated aspect about the 48 is when you find an artist, makeup artist, DOP, basically I call it like the prettiest girl in school, sort of scenario where everybody's afraid to ask her out because they think she's already has a date, and then you ask her and it turns out she's free Friday night. So I've had that happen many times where I've just had casual conversations, like for not Filmapalooza, but for 4 Points, where we did shenanigans.
Yep.
Randomly, I was talking to not Renee, Francia, makeup artist, and she's like, I'm not doing it. Nobody's asked. And I was like, well, consider yourself asked. And she's like, fuck it, I'm down, let's do it. So I ended up like right before the competition finding like a badass makeup artist because nobody had asked them to be it, or maybe they had assumed that they already had a team. So that's kind of like an underrated thing. And the best thing I think is the fact that it's a guaranteed screening. When it's brick and mortar, that's the main thing. That it is a little bit more expensive than some film festivals. There are some rules or some stuff attached to it. Some people might give you shit. Fuck those people. If you want to do it and you want to do it because you want to have fun, and it doesn't mean that you don't have more films in you. It doesn't mean that you're a 48-hour filmmaker. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means that you wanted to make a movie with your team that weekend. Just don't stake your entire life and your career and spend the rest of your career promoting that movie. Use it as something. Treasure it for what it is, and then move on to something else, right?
Well, we've seen a lot of teams take their film and go on to festivals with them, and we definitely encourage that. And I think it's a good idea. And I think it's a good exercise too to take what you've made and then do a director's cut of it later. So you're going back and revisiting your film. Sure. I mean, I see what you're saying, right? You don't want to ride a dead horse, but at the same time, a lot of these have been jumping off points that we've seen that teams that went on to refilm or do a director's cut, and now it's a 15-minute short, and they've gotten into festivals with them that way. So, I think if you've got something and you want to re-edit, we think it's great to do that. But yeah, I mean, nobody's going to become a millionaire off their 48-hour film, and that's definitely not the point.
No, absolutely.
I mean, it should be. Just one of the exercises that you do as a filmmaker is that you do a 1 or 2 or more 48-hour films as part of, exercising that skill, developing that skill, because the time frame is really short, the time commitment is really short, and you can end up number of teams like every year have really great films that I know from Robyn and I. We used to program the Temecula Film Festival, and we would see 300-400 films every year, short, feature, doc, small form docs, and it was amazing how many of those we had to put in just because we needed to fill space, and not because it was great. And there were so many that we rejected because it's like, what are these filmmakers doing? I mean, they definitely need more practice. They need to develop this skill.
Yeah. You need repetitions as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I always say that your first 3 films are going to suck, probably.
Right. Yeah. And one of the teams, Hunter Productions, they did their first film. I remember so distinctly because it was a musical and it was just so bad. And I mean, I joke with the filmmaker. I can say this publicly because we joke about it all the time. He's a good friend of mine. Their third film, they almost won.
Yeah.
They were really close to winning. And, and so, I mean, it can go there,
And now he's like a production person.
Yeah.
Like he gets paid for production work.
Yeah. And he did nothing prior to his first 48. And now he has a live stream company. And he's done a lot of production, and he's done more films than I have.
Yeah, he's produced the San Diego Film Awards.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely, like you said, a jumping off point, a way to network, a way to learn who you want to work with, who you don't want to work with, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. No, like I said, I'm just trying to be honest with my thoughts about it.
We appreciate it. Yeah.
And like I said, my goal is to educate filmmakers. One of the things that I want to do that I'm going to start to do on some of these streams is something called Edwood Film School, which is what we changed our competition name to, because I was like, okay, 2 a.m. Productions is moving on to things, is doing its own thing. We have 2 feature films, several shorts, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, well, it's but when I compete, what is the essence of this festival? And I've always been a fan of Ed Wood, and I've always been, and I always call him the original guerrilla filmmaker. So when I thought, what would be a cool sort of moniker for us for when we compete in these types of content, I said Ed Wood Film School, because it brings all those elements of, you got to get it done, you got to make decisions, you got to be problem solving. So even though I don't want to say I moved on from it, I'm open to participating in the future depending on what happens. I'm focused on getting representation and building my film career, but I have a lot of love for what it represents. I have a lot of love for and I was actually, one of my earlier rants, you guys didn't catch this on the stream, but one of my earlier rants from a previous episode was the way that the San Diego International Film Festival treats the 48-hour participants in when they're part of their competition. You guys have a relationship with this, so I don't expect you guys to comment on it. But my thoughts were when our film, Last Lessons, available on the YouTube channel, got best of, and we got accepted into, because of that, there was a screening of our films as part of the San Diego International Film Festival in La Jolla. I was like, cool, I've made it into every festival in San Diego that I've wanted to. And that was cool. So we show up, you get your free Stella, your free beers there in the area. And we went in, I was like, let me go get my festival pass. And they're like, oh no, you don't get a festival pass. You get a free screening of this and this and this. And you get the basic level entry pass to the festival. You don't get to go to the parties. You don't get to do all these things. You don't get to do this or that. You get to go see your movie again. And I was like, no, we already saw our movie at the 48 screening, and so we just get to see it again. But this time we have to drive to La Jolla to do it. What is the worst thing that could happen by letting a group of enthusiastic filmmakers that are local mingle and be a part of your festival? The worst possible scenario is those filmmakers make more movies and submit them to the San Diego International Film Festival. That is the absolute possible worst scenario. But they treated us second-class sort of filmmakers in that, and what I expected to be like the same experience that I had at San Diego Latino Film Festival, networking, getting to go to the VIP rooms, this and that, talking to people, turned out to be, you can go watch your movie again, and if you want to go to any of these other events, you got to pay more. Again, I understand you guys have a relationship with it, but that was one of my, and again, as an advocate for filmmakers, that was one of the things that I was like, well, if you either accept them and say, yes, we have this relationship and we're going to treat you like every other person that got accepted into this film festival, excuse me, or don't, so that was my thoughts on that. But I digress. I understand you guys are in a situation there where you can't comment, but how do you feel about that?
Well, I wouldn't say we can't comment. I think historically, what happened with the San Diego Film Festival, well, also the same thing happened with Temecula. They all treat it differently, but at the time, the only way you could get onto IMDb was to get into a festival. And so we built this relationship with the San Diego Film Festivals as a way of helping our San Diego filmmakers get exposure by being able to get an IMDb listing. At the time, that was the only way you could get one. Okay. Now we continued it, right? And it is different now. Even the Temecula Film Festival, it was, it was a full festival pass. I'm actually a little bit surprised that you didn't get a full festival pass.
I am too. And we'll have to contact them about that.
Well, it wasn't that we get in it. It was that we were like on a fourth
that's
list.
What they offered to the team leader.
Yeah.
We actually thought it was if I remember correctly, we thought it was 2 festival passes.
That's
for
what
the
I
team
thought,
leaders.
yeah, so
that's
I'm
what we thought. So we'll.
It was
follow up.
literally we showed up downtown to get it, and we went into the area, and they're like, "You can take your picture over here." And then they were looking at me, and then they were like, "What was your film?" And then what are the? And I was like, "Yeah, we were San Diego 48-hour best of." They're like, "Oh, you're on this other list," and it was like you get the
surprising.
So now one of the things also is that the 48 films are not curated by them. They're not part of their festival. It's a screener only, so it's not in competition with any of the films that go there. So that could be why that happened. But
I'm not sure.
I mean,
we'll definitely talk to them.
Yeah.
To us, right? Like it's not. We're not trying to, we're not trying to pimp your films out to somebody else so that someone else can benefit off them without you guys getting the credit.
I completely understand, and I understand that that if in their mind it's like, well, we've created this film, the filmmakers that we want mingling or that we're inviting because it's our festival, we can do whatever the hell we want, are these films. We have an agreement with the 48, so we're going to screen your films. You guys get to show up, but like literally the worst.
I didn't think that was the agreement though, and I think that's the thing that Duane and I are both of us.
Okay, good. Well, good. Then I'm glad I brought it up.
As they say, we're gobsmacked right now because we did not know that.
No. And I know that when the festival was held at Gaslamp, remember downtown, I know for sure that the filmmakers got festival passes.
So this may be, because the San Diego Film Festival has gone through administrative changes.
Yeah, quite a few actually.
And this may be because of that, because initially it was not. It was a way to get the 48 filmmakers' films in a festival so they could get on IMDb and get
absolutely
that way. But at that time, it was a full festival pass.
Right.
Every team got two full festival passes. So to hear that that's not
so
the
that's
case
good
now,
to know. That's really
it could have been
good
something that changed recently, and like I said, like I said, that's why it was weird to bring it out because I have done a rant about it. My entire point was the worst possible thing that could happen is you get more filmmakers that get excited about making films, and then they're like, "Oh, I had a great experience at this festival, even though I got in just because I got into the 48 best of. I got to mingle, I got to blah blah blah. I'm definitely submitting my film to them again." So that was my entire point.
You're right. You're right about that, and we're like I said, we're trying to put on a stone face right now, but we're both very surprised, needless to say, to hear that. And I wish we'd known at the time because we would have followed them.
I wish you would have known too, because I would have not been as embarrassed when I walked out of there. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, and we would have followed up, and we will.
That wasn't this 2020, right? That was 2019.
19.
That was 2019. That was
was
last lessons.
Right.
Okay. We're sitting here talking with Duane and Robyn. I just blew their mind because they didn't know about my rant with San Diego International Film Festival, so they're going to get back to me on that. Again, San Diego International Film Festival is one of the the bedrocks of San Diego film. They've had a lot of films that debuted there. It's a very prestigious festival, and they had a relationship with the 48 where they would help them screen their films to help them get IMDb credits. Somewhere along the line, the translation got lost in between what the filmmaker's experience should be there. We had a bad experience, but that does, like I said, doesn't preclude me from, I just trying to be honest about it. We're talking with Duane and Robyn from the 48. Filmapalooza.org is coming up. We're going to talk about that in a second. Just want to catch up with all the comments here from people that have been watching live. Michael Keeney says, is there somewhere we can get cool swag like Robyn shirt?
As a matter of fact, there is.
Go ahead, tell us.
48hourfilm.com. You can get all kinds of cool 48 swag, including this awesome shirt that has every city. Hold on, I'm going to turn around so you can see it.
All right.
Every 48 city is like
nice.
This 48, so every 48 city. They have umbrellas. They have all kinds of cool stuff. I have several umbrellas that I brought back from Filmapalooza. I have one for you, actually. I didn't give it to you yet. Lots of 48 swag. You can get that. Oh, hey, Helen. How are you?
By Mr. Keaton Jones saying, what's up? Helen's saying, Okay, I'm catching up here. Musicals are difficult, Helen. Keaton, comment from earlier, it's virtually impossible to see your mistakes when you first start something despite your education. Absolutely. I always think that filmmakers are going to make the biggest mistakes in their first 3 films, so it is important to get those mistakes out of the way. My biggest tips for them, and some of the mistakes I keep seeing over and over in local films and independent films, is that people shoot the second draft or third draft of their script. Now, unfortunately, during a 48, I've never been able to do more than 3 passes through. If the idea hits me right away and I can punch out the script, I can usually get a first and second draft. It's very tough to get a third draft done. But one of the, I've been trying to sort of rank, because I want to do some stuff for filmmakers starting out, like the most important aspects of your team. I think that the number, because you can shoot on cell phone, right? You can make your movie on iPhone. You can, if you have a 5-6 person crew, you probably have 3 or 4 4K cameras at your disposal. You can literally shoot your entire movie with the Samsungs and iPhones you have in your pockets, but your movie is going to be crappy if the sound is bad. And secondary to that, the most amateurish thing behind the sound is lighting. A poorly lit in a film that sounds bad are the 2 major things. Do you guys agree?
Agree to a certain extent.
Yeah.
King is story. That's absolutely paramount. Story. You can get away with not great audio, not great lighting, not great camera, if you're shooting on SD, if you have a great story. That's the single biggest thing.
And I'd put audio right next to it, though.
I would put
right
audio,
under it, right?
audio and story very close to each other in terms of the hierarchy. The biggest problem, and I've watched thousands and thousands of short films for the Temecula Film Festival and others that I've programmed, and the single biggest problem is not having an ending. Is somewhere you had this great idea and you started your film and then just one frame it ends. You get to the last frame and the movie's over, but it's not really over because it never had an ending. So, and you may have heard me say this before, that my philosophy in writing, and this is not just for me, this is, that I've heard in the past, and it's absolutely true, is that you come up with your idea, you come up with your ending, then you figure out where you want to start, and you write to your ending. You don't write the beginning of your film until you have an ending to your film. Then you figure out where you want to start it, and every word, every line of dialogue, every action, every location, everything should focus on that, getting to the end of your film, getting to that ending. And if you don't do that, a lot of times you're 5 minutes in and you don't even really know what your story is, because the story is all about the ending. It's not about the beginning as much as it is about the ending.
I think one of the other things that we notice, as Duane said, we watch lots and lots of films for Temecula, San Diego. We watch every 4 Points film every year. That's upwards of 250 films some years. One of the biggest things that we notice is that people spend a lot of time trying to set a scene in the beginning of a short film. Like, we'll see this beautiful drone shot that lasts 35 seconds, but we have no idea what's happening in the story. And then it's, it pans over across a square, and there's some great music. And I got a minute and a half into a short film, and I had zero idea what was going on. I wouldn't have even watched it further if I didn't have to, like, as part of my job. So I think one of the things that filmmakers need to think about too is, you can shoot the most beautiful, pretty footage, but unless you're telling a story with it, unless it's moving your story along, give me 5 seconds of it and move along, because I'm going to lose interest really fast. And if you don't catch an audience's interest, in a 7-minute short film, a 4-minute short film, you don't catch the audience in the first 30 seconds, you've lost the audience. So that's one of our suggestions would be, really think about getting your audience involved in your story right away. With
I
Last
agree.
Lessons, this was a great example because you knew right away what was going on, what was, you know what I mean? That was, for me, that's a great example of doing it right. You know, getting the audience right into the story. What's happening? Who are these people? Why do I care?
No, yeah, absolutely. I think that in Shenanigans, Last Lessons, these are films where I think we had finally learned the mistakes of years previous, where would start off with an idea, and then you realize you've been filming all day and you haven't filmed the ending yet, and or if you're smart, you film the ending first, but then you try to tie it together, and then you're editing, and then you fall so in love with what you've written for the first 4.5 minutes that you're like, wow, I have these other 4.5 minutes, but I got to make it a minute and a half. I got to finish this. And our movies tended to turn into like a music video at the end, because it was like premise, setup, joke, and then it was like, let's just sort of end it on this montage of stuff that happens and hope that people sort of get it. So I completely understand. But you also have to agree that some of the worst films that I've seen in screenings are the ones where you can tell the audio's off or the ADR is not synced.
Oh yeah, audio is very, very important. And it's one of the most, one, I think maybe people don't have the experience with it. I think that's part of it, right? They don't have the expertise and the experience with it, but people leave it to the last minute.
Right, they don't attach the importance to it that it deserves.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. You're right. Audio is a huge issue every year. It's not just in our city. I don't know if Michael Keeney is still watching, but we all talked about this recently. It's nationwide. It's international. And sound is one of the biggest issues with 48-hour films. And I don't know if it's because people don't, they don't think to get a sound person.
Well, I will say the sound is, I would go beyond 48-hour films. In the short film format, audio is the thing that kills a lot of films, that keeps a lot of films out of festivals.
Yeah.
And hand in hand with that is shooting a film that's so dark in a darkened theater you can't even see what's happening.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some did you guys see season 8 of Game of Thrones? Some of those episodes were dark as hell. So and then the reason I bring up lighting is because I see a lot of people that are doing these like web series and stuff like that, and they drop trailers and they drop promos, and everything is very, either they have shop lights or they have some other lighting. And really, if you're building a team, sound should be because like I said, let's say you have a red camera package and that guy doesn't show up that day, you can still shoot the movie with your phone in your pocket and it will look good. But if you don't have a proper sound person, it's going to sound like shit, and that's going to take you many, many steps back, as well as lighting.
Right.
Michael Cody says, still watching, and yes, sound is huge.
Yes. So Michael Keeney is the Madison, Wisconsin, one of the 2 Madison, Wisconsin producers. And so we were talking about, issues that are kind of universal to all the 48 cities, and sound is one of them for sure.
And then Keithan says to our conversation, it's because they don't have the patience to do basic filmmaking. They want to be David Fincher.
Day one.
All right.
Well,
all right.
Sure.
And then let's see. We have some criticism here. Says, what do you say to those that think the 48-hour film festival is a money grab? Now, there's a lot of festivals, and I talk a lot about the industry based on taking filmmakers' money. Mostly, I talk about monthly festivals, quarterly festivals, things like that. There's also 72-hour film race, 42-hour film race. The 48 is branching into specific festivals for like comedy, horror, drama. I believe that's sort of a movement based on the fact that there's other popular festivals like that I would have seen, but obviously it's a little bit more expensive. I've always thought that is because of the fact you're guaranteed a screening, and because of the production, I guess. So it's a mixture. But how do you guys respond to that sort of criticism?
So you're partly listening to you talk about it. You're talking about the right points. Duane and I, we have to pay for the theater that we rent every year, and it costs us upwards of $18,000 to do the theater, and that's if we have a regular size year. So the screenings are anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 a piece, and
because nobody wants to go on a Tuesday night at midnight, right? You have to book the theater for a Thursday and Friday.
Right. To add on to that, we're paying that money up front with no guarantee that we're going to get enough people to pay for it.
Right. You know, I mean, it is kind of weird, uncomfortable thing to talk about, right? Because we don't make a ton of money off the 48. We're definitely not rolling in the dough. Duane has a full-time job. I have a full-time job. I'm a nurse. Duane is an engineer. Andy's running an animation studio. You know, this is not something that any of the city producers do for the money. Most of the money that comes into the competition goes back into the competition to run the local competitions as well as Filmapalooza, which is coming up, and that's, you know, the international one. So, I mean, we certainly wouldn't ever want anyone to think that that's the reason that we do this, or that's the reason that the cost for the 48 per team is what it is. I mean, we definitely put that money back into the screenings, back into, I mean, Duane and I, like we said, we do this all year long. So we build new things. And,
right. We talk about it all year long. And if you looked at like the money that came in versus the amount of time that we put into it, we're working for 5 cents an hour.
Right.
You know? I mean,
yeah.
It's really not much.
It's not inexpensive, but you're right. Like you said, Lou, it is a guaranteed screening.
It was more like this past year.
Yeah, this past year we lost our shirts.
Yeah, it was.
Oh no, like I said, I'm not sugarcoating that. You know, I've gone back and forth on my thought process on the competition as a whole, and you know, I try to be very honest with my thought process on stuff like that here, because you know, why be false to that, right? So there is this perception, but the thing that I respect about it is that yes, it's a guaranteed screening. You sign up for this, you pay this, you will make a movie. You can sign up early and get it at a discount, you know, but if you sign up last minute, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. That unfortunately, it's kind of like a fear of missing out thing, where where the closer you get to the end, even if you didn't think about it, you keep seeing stuff about it, and you're like, fuck it, let's go. Even though we're paying more, let's do it. And
it is kind of cool to have your you know, if you were going to personally make a film and rent a theater, it would cost you $3,000 to rent out, you know, Grossmont's big house with 500 seats in it. It would cost you that much money individually. So, you know, for between $125 and $150, you make a film and you have a guaranteed screening on a you know, beautiful large movie screen.
And more than that, you have a screening with an audience of people that weren't part of your film.
Right.
Yeah,
so it's not just your team. Yeah.
There's my favorite moments is sitting in the back and seeing and having people laugh at something that I wrote, or
that's the best, isn't it?
figuring out that they laugh or respond to something that you didn't necessarily think was funny. That's also good. And you guys are very upfront about the process. Plus, I respect the fact that you guys watch every single film that gets submitted. And I've been having, you know, some beef with some festivals locally that I was asked to judge because I was told that I only had to watch 50% of a movie. And I said, I can't be associated with that. If you're charging people Sundance rates to enter their movie, I think the least that you could do is guarantee people that their film is going to be watched. And if you're making money off the festival, then pay somebody to watch the movies or something, or be very upfront with people that we may not watch your movie. You may pay $65 for the late entry fee, but we may not watch more than halfway through your movie. And I just think that's wrong. And if you find yourself in a position where you can't watch the movies, then you don't have enough of the love. And like I said, I've seen what it takes to curate a yearly festival. So you get what you pay for. You're going to screen your movie. You can put the team together. You're gonna be out of your comfort zone, possibly with the genre. It's going to make you work. You're gonna need a lot of coffee. You know, I've gone 48 hours without sleep. I've done it. I've been rendering, and just figured out who had the fastest car to get us to the drop-off point. You know, and the people, the director and the editor have the worst job. The people that are hanging out, the actors have a fun old time because they can go to set. They can just hang out. They're like, oh yeah, is it time to act now? I'm like, yeah, we need to get you on there. So I respect you guys for that, but I also respect you guys enough to ask you these types of questions because that's what kind of people are interested in.
Well, you know, we're not trying to hide anything about it, and we're not, you know, rolling around naked in cash. This is not something that any city producer does for the money. In any city, I mean, this is not something that we do it right. See what Michael says here. We do it for our communities and our filmmakers, and this is the cheapest and best odds you're ever going to have to get your film into the Cannes Film Festival Short Film Corner. And that's also true, The top 12 films from around the world will go to the Cannes Film Festival. The winner from the 4 Points Film Project goes to the Cannes Film Festival, Short Film Corner. So, we definitely are not doing this for the money. We're doing it because we love it. And we do recognize that filmmakers are making a financial investment, right, in their film. And so that's why we work so hard to have these, that's why we do the best of in the Oscar style format with the red carpet, with the formal wear, and, purple carpet. Thank you. That's why we do these things, because we know that you guys have spent your time, your money, your energy, and we want to make it the best possible experience for you.
Right.
Absolutely. So again, Duane and Robyn, number one, appreciate you guys coming on. We're talking with Duane and Robyn for the 48-hour San Diego Film Project, also filmapalooza.org. When does Filmapalooza start, and how does it compare to the 48? How is it different, or specifically, how is it different this year?
Go ahead. So you want me to tell them the dates?
Yeah.
Okay, so Filmapalooza this year. Filmapalooza is the international end-of-the-year big competition for the 48-hour film project. Every city-winning film from around the world participates in Filmapalooza, and there is a competition amongst the city-winning films from around the world, about 130 cities. Filmapalooza is a full weekend, 4 days worth of workshops and networking and karaoke, and all of that stuff is going virtual this year, and it is going to be awesome. We have so many panels, including one that we're going to talk about, one that I'm going to moderate on COVID. Duane and I are talking with the city producers this weekend about holding online events, how to make your online events better. Duane and I have a lot of experience doing, live streams and such for the 48, and we're going to share some of that. Filmapalooza is the 18th of March through the 21st of March. It's 4 days, it's $48, and you get access to all of those events. You can see every city-winning film from around the world. And also, it's going to be recorded. So if you miss some of it, you're included in your $48 is the ability to go back and watch some of that stuff later. You missed it.
Okay. Awesome. And so $48, 48 hours. Or wait, 4 days, $48.
96 hours. Yeah, 4 days, $48.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And every city-winning film. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And usually these take place in different cities around the world. Last year it was Rotterdam. I got to go to Rotterdam. It was amazing. The year before that, it was in Orlando. Duane and I went to Orlando. We had a great time. Duane caught a horrible cold. You were pretty sick. We were both sick on the way home on that. That was a bad trip. Yeah, it was a great trip, but boy, were we sick on the way home.
And somebody stole my credit card.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that's not good.
I forgot about that.
Charge
I forgot about that.
I had to
So this year was supposed to be in Washington, D.C. because this is where the 48-hour film project began 20 years ago. This was supposed to be the big thing in Washington, D.C. But of course, COVID, so we're doing it virtually. And all the city producers are working hard to make sure that it's still a great experience for filmmakers. You still get to see and do networks. We've got a lot of great panel hosts. So it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah,
absolutely. Let me see. Let's catch up here. Adam, Life is a Movie. Love these two. Great interview. Thank you for stopping by. Adam.
So Adam is the Jacksonville city producer. He's one half of the Jacksonville city producing team. Nice. Adam and his wife Monique. Yes, nice to see you.
Nice. And then Mr. Keithan asks, do you think it would be beneficial for streaming services like Netflix to dedicate a small percentage of their earnings and programming to amateur filmmakers, like a give back program or talent pool?
I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be great. I mean, it's not like they're not pulling money in. Of course, Netflix, they have a lot of original production that their streaming service incomes goes to support original production stuff. But why not have original production for up and coming
indie filmmakers? Yeah.
Yeah, Netflix should definitely
have. Great idea.
They have indie films down there, but they shouldn't have an indie corner.
Have
you guys, or has there been a talk from the 48 structurally because of the fact that Amazon, Netflix, Hulu have these predetermined codecs and like film, kind of codes and whatnot for anything that needs to be submitted? Like if you want to submit your film to Amazon, even through their self-publishing, it has to be in a specific kind of end product and stuff. Have you guys ever considered sort of adding that as one of the requirements so that people have an easier chance of being able to later or would that be too much kind of to put
Well,
on the
I mean, we accept the format that works best for us, especially if we're going to be doing in-person screenings, because we need to have it in a format that we can read. Now, if you have the ability to export your film in any format you want, as long as one of those that gets exported in the past put on a flash drive, right?
Now you're just uploading it.
Right. I mean, so if you want to submit to Amazon, why not do another export after you get your 48 version out? Do another export. You know, I mean, I don't even know what those guidelines are. You know, and that is, but.
Just
but you know
something
what?
that popped up.
I mean, it is a good idea to think about, even if it's something we could share with everybody. Hey guys, here's what the codecs are. You know what I mean? Just here's what they are if you want to submit. I mean, just even gathering that information might be something that
I would hesitate to do that simply because we already overwhelmed the beginning filmmakers, especially with all kinds of information.
Yeah, maybe just in like
narrow it down to say, this is what we want you to submit. You know, a 1920 by 1080, you know, a stereo, you know, ProRes. You know,
I just mean like as a completely separate thing, like after the conversation.
I mean,
as an informational thing.
I think you guys have like maybe I think you guys have it might already be under, but like a what's next. You finished your film. Hey, you know, if you think your film is worthy, export it in one of these things, and that way it'll be easier for you to submit it to wherever. You know, just like a piece of advice for filmmakers and whatnot.
Yeah.
We are talking live with Robyn and Duane from the 48-Hour Film Festival from Project. They're also part of Filmapalooza that's starting in a little bit of time here. If you guys are watching, thank you very much for everybody that's commented, everybody that's in. Make sure that if you guys are tuning in, follow us at facebook.com/2amburrito so that you can get notified when we go live. Twitch.tv/2amburrito as well. If you like follow gamers or streamers or podcasters on there, that's where we are. And if you want to watch some of my old 48-hour films and some of the things that we've done, go on our YouTube channel where you can see all of it. Obviously, any likes, follows are appreciated. And then after this pod goes live in a couple of days, we'll probably drop it right before Filmapalooza, but this will be available anywhere that you find your podcast: Spotify, iTunes, Pandora. It's called the 2 a.m. Burrito Podcast. Top right-hand corner right there, 2 a.m. Burrito is our company. We're talking with Duane and Robyn. Now, I wanted to just kind of briefly, because this is one of the other things that I told Robyn I want to talk about. I've been giving a lot of crap to local filmmakers because my basic point is that nobody needs to die so that your shitty zombie film can be made. Nobody really we can wait. We can wait for your web series. It's okay. You can shoot it in June. It's okay. You don't need to do it in the middle of a pandemic. What types of, I mean, obviously you guys put together tips for the stay-at-home stuff, and you guys put together stuff for the kind of virtualized 48. What as a nurse and as a filmmaker, what is your biggest fear about people that seem to be so flippant about getting together to make movies right now?
Hold on, I'm gonna get on my soapbox here. I think my biggest fear, obviously, is, like you said, people dying, right? But short of that, because most people our age, your age, are not going to die from COVID. If you get it, most people are not going to die from it if they're our age. Now, that said, Duane and I both have had COVID. It's freaking miserable, and it's, you know, I still can't smell or taste almost 3 months later, and Duane's just getting his energy back. He's, you know, 6 weeks out. And so I think one of the things that I worry about is people, not so much, you know, are you going to pass it around your film set, which is bad enough, but then where is it going to go from there? And also, I just feel like filmmakers in San Diego, you know, we're very visible. We have a lot of super visible and very highly publicized filmmakers, and what we would love to see. I can interrupt you. I think he's frozen, huh?
He's frozen. I don't.
No, you got. We're still good.
You can hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, we're good. We're buffering a little bit, but the voice is still there.
Okay, you're still there. Okay, so the important thing for me, for us, is that we want people to follow the local guidelines. We want people to understand that
All right. It looks like we may have lost Duane and Robyn. We're going to wait to see if they come back on in a minute. We are talking live with, well, we were talking live with Duane and Robyn. They are welcome to come back on in a second. I will improvise here for a minute. Let's see. Thank you. Let me see. Let me catch up. Destiny 66. What about, okay, we talked about the people that get eliminated earlier. And yeah, obviously, if it's a situation where you guys are gonna get people that get that show up and it's a they're back.
All right.
Got it. Just finishing up with that. Sorry guys, it looks like we lost you there for a second. You're back.
There we go.
All right, so you guys got cut off, but you were basically talking about the fact that it's something that I've talked about is that you could, even if you are with a bunch of healthy filmmakers and you guys are both young and you're smart and you're in good shape, it's not about everybody on the set getting infected. It's about where you go afterwards and what might happen, right?
Yeah, so the important thing that we want to get across to filmmakers, here in San Diego, but just everywhere, is that, like you said, art is super important, right? People are turning to art in this pandemic to keep themselves sane, and we know that, and we don't want you to stop making art. What we want you to do is make art safely, and there is a way to do that. It's not to, the way to do it safely is not to just film a big party scene and hope nobody gets sick, or, that kind of thing, or tell people to wear masks to the set and then film a party scene with 20 people in it. Write your films judiciously now so that you can have fewer people on set, so that you can have fewer people performing. You can have, people distanced apart. It is an extra challenge to your creativity.
Extra challenge to your creativity. This is an extra challenge to our broadcast. If anybody has any questions for when Duane and Robyn pop off, I don't know if they paid their internet bill. I know they're not in Texas, so I'm wondering what it is that is giving them trouble. But hopefully they are tech savvy, so hopefully they are able to join us again. And again, yeah, about your question, obviously it is fair to say that the judging process will boil down to who can have more people in the stands, because it is an audience vote. So that's pretty much obvious, right? Let's see if they can get back on in a minute. Let me message them, see if they got on. In the meantime, I hope everybody's having a good time. Let me put you guys on something that's happening locally. If you are a Latino filmmaker of any kind, I got you guys back. You guys there?
Yeah, we're here. I'm not sure. We're not sure if can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. I was just letting people know real quick that
what's going on there? Sorry about that.
The San Diego Latino Film Festival is looking for entries into their Migrant Voices Challenge. Just look up the San Diego Latino Film Festival on the on Film Freeway and enter it. It's free to enter. There is an extended code there for people. Any story that is about how migrants are affected by COVID is going to be on. I can see you guys clearly, and I can hear you guys clearly anyway. So it might be buffering a little bit on your end, but we can still see you, and it's still broadcasting out. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Cool. All right. So, but yeah. So that's the main. Was that? Oh man, we lost Duane and Robyn again. It's all right. Destiny 66. You're good, man. No trip. We are. Let me see if I can share you guys the San Diego Latino Film Festival. Yeah, the only audience vote, I believe, is audience choice, right? But the rest of the awards are determined by a jury of film professionals. And like I said, at least with this festival, you are assured that your films are being watched. Hopefully, I will get to do our bracket bit with Duane and Robyn, but if they are having trouble connecting, we might just have to call it a night, chat. So let me know if you have any other questions for them if they get back on. And if not, then filmapalooza.org is where you guys can go to sign up for the worldwide event that will be happening soon. The 48-hour film, if you just look up a 48-hour film project anywhere online, you'll be able to find information where you can sign up for when it comes to your city. And again, my point was that the fact that COVID is around. All right, we're going to try this one more time. There's Duane and Robyn.
I think we're back. Hey, guys. Sorry. I think we're back now. Duane,
is somebody is somebody playing Fortnite somewhere around there? Did you get somebody clogging up your bandwidth? What's going on?
Probably. Yeah. We're not sure exactly what's going on, but we retethered to my thing here, so I think we're good. So yes, COVID. Long story short, what we really would love to see is filmmakers following local guidelines. We know that right now the guidelines are changing and that we're going to be coming up on, hopefully with the vaccines getting out there, with summer coming up, with people wearing masks, with people social distancing, we could be seeing more things open up. And if they do, then we want you to take advantage of that. But if they don't, we would love to see you try to be creative within the guidelines that exist for our safety. And Duane and I are not the police. We're not going to be coming to your film set making sure you're doing that. So filmmakers are responsible for their own safety. And if you feel uncomfortable on a set because someone is not following the proper protocols, please feel free to leave the set. And we don't want anybody jeopardizing their own safety over anything, over a film, over anything.
I would also say, as a filmmaker and looking at it from a creative standpoint, that's the current normal that we're in.
Right.
Face masking and social distancing. Write your film that way. Write it into your film like that.
Yeah. This Is Us is doing it. It's one of my favorite. I mean, I'm super mainstream, I know, but This Is Us, every time they show people in groups, they're wearing masks, right. and when they're not with their own families, it is what it is right now. This is our reality.
You don't have to write a story about that,
no.
but incorporate that into your story, and it's going to make your filmmaking easier. It's going to make your social distancing and having a COVID responsible set easier.
Right.
Now the 48 also has the certificate that you can get.
Safe Sets International. Yes. We're encouraging all teams. In fact, Duane and I and many other cities are going to be requiring that one person from the team complete that Safe Sets International COVID compliance. It's a free, relatively short module. So we'll be sharing that link with everybody. At least one person on your set should complete it and know what those guidelines are to keep you guys safe.
Yeah, so in short, stay safe. If you feel uncomfortable, leave. Make sure that you're, the thing is, like, locally, I've seen productions that have gone out of their way to flaunt the fact that they don't care about COVID and stuff like that, and they have the video. The one that
we've seen it too.
And then I say, and they're like, well, who was it? And then I say, well, it's the most unprofessional filmmakers in San Diego, and everybody knows who I'm talking about without me saying their name. So that should tell you something about yourself. If you are the person, and then they're like, well, we're following SAG guidelines, and then they post BTS, and everybody's scrunched together and stuff like that. So, like I said, no, your stuff can work. I understand that art is important. I understand that people say what's gotten through this is binging TV shows, music, art, things like that. That's awesome. I want to be on a movie set too, but I said I'm going to create content and I'm going to do things that are virtual. Like, I'd love to be in the living room with you guys hanging out and doing this, but it just can't happen right now. So, so get over yourself. Your movie's not that good. It's not that important. And if you're going to participate, and people have bubbles, people have their teams that are their bubbles, the people that they work with, they live with, that they make movies with. Make a movie with your bubble. Make it with one actor. Write that post-apocalyptic thing that you wanted to. There's ways to make it, and if not, just write your film in a world where social distancing and mask wearing is a thing. And don't slack, because my key point when I ranted about all this is that it's one thing if you have a COVID officer, if you're paying people, if they get sick, they have a way to sort of do something about it. But if you're asking people to come work for you for free, outside of a competition, but on your own projects because your ego is so big that you need your shit done now during a pandemic, that's where I lose respect for you as a filmmaker. So I appreciate that you guys are putting information. I appreciate that you, Robyn, have been there specifically for me because of your expertise as a nurse when I've kind of asked you questions about vaccination and stuff like that. So I understand that you have a unique perspective on it as well. And if there's somebody that I'm going to trust, it's a nurse that's on the front lines, but is also doing a film competition. Okay.
Well, thank you. And I, I have talked to you about vaccination. I've talked to a lot of people. A lot of filmmakers have contacted me and asked me questions about, things on set, about COVID itself, about how to survive it if you get it. I mean, if anybody has questions, you guys can always contact me because I'm an open book. I do the research. I'm not going to give you an answer that doesn't have a backing to it, and it's not an opinion. It's backed up by science. So ask me if you want to know.
One last thing that I would like you to speak on because I value your opinion, and this is a misconception of people might have that once they're vaccinated, they're home free. But even after you get your second dosage, I got day one shot one a couple of days ago. I shared it with a few people. My arm was sore for about a day and a half, and then I'm good since then. But what are the misconceptions about the vaccination process and how after you're done, you still have to be careful?
So right now, the vaccinations that are available, at the most, they're about 95% effective, which is really fantastic, right? But your full immunity doesn't take place until about 2 weeks after your second dose of your vaccine. My second dose of my vaccine was at the end of January, so now I'm probably as immune as I'm going to get, having also had COVID in November. However, the entire population is not vaccinated yet. And the entire population is not about, they're estimating only about 13% of people have had COVID. That number is probably higher from people who haven't been tested, but it's about 13%. So in the interim, while we're getting up to the point where enough people are vaccinated and enough people have actually had COVID, it is still important to social distance and wear masks. And we can still transmit a virus even if we've been vaccinated. So the vaccine saves about 95, it keeps you out of the hospital, out of an intubation situation about 95% of the time. It can keep you completely away from it about 65% of the time, but you're not home free. And so right now it's going to be super important, I think as important as ever, to maintain masking, social distancing, keeping your bubble, not hosting big parties. We're waiting to see if there's going to be a little Super Bowl bump. The hospitals are looking better. They are. And because we kind of came through this holiday surge that nearly killed a lot of the nurses. I mean, people were working 30 days in a row, 12-hour shifts. So
my dad's primary care physician is the head of pulmonology or pulmonology department and in Chula Vista here, and he said that it's getting a little bit better, but he's had to deal with one of his patients dying like almost every day for the last year.
That's pretty much what we've been dealing with, and it's been bad. It's definitely we don't talk about this stuff because people will say we signed up for it and everything. Well, we did, right. But we didn't sign up to have people flaunt in our faces that they can do what they want, and that's been rough. It's been a rough part of being a nurse on a COVID ward. It just has, because we watch people who just say they don't have to follow regulations and that they're just being that their freedoms are being infringed upon. And it's really hard. It's really hard because we have, all of us, not just me, all of us have held the hands of dying people. We've held an iPad so they could say goodbye to their loved ones on the iPad. It's crappy. It's crappy.
No,
and watching people flaunt the rules and flaunt the regulations that are in place, public health measures for our safety that are evidence-based, it makes me want to stab someone. It really does. And
I know that
I can tell you, I can tell you from experience, you do not want to get it.
No, it's bad. It's bad.
No, trust me. Like I've been trying to keep my 90-year-old father alive over the last year, who has every pre-existing condition, who already has what COVID gives you because he already has lung fibrosis, and And so it's a personal battle for me, and I can, and one of the things that keeps me going is my creativity and editing old projects and doing interviews and having this human interaction that I can't have in person. So I can imagine that the fact that you at least have this outlet might be able to give you some, kind of take you out of that universe that you have to live in, and give you a little bit of like a reprieve, right?
Right. Yeah,
a little,
for sure.
a little bit. All right. Well, I've talked with Duane and Robyn. We've done 90 minutes. They are the power couple in San Diego competition filmmaking. Let's put it that way. And we've been very honest about my views, good and bad, about the 48, and about why I think that overall. And I was going to do and that intro that I did about the beginning about the flash drives was a bit because I was going to do one of my little Ed Wood film videos about my thoughts on competitions for young filmmakers. So that was a little preview of that. But we're wrapping this up. I do something that I do with all my guests, which is I try to find something that I think that they are into, and then I do a bracket bit, basically a this or that for it.
Okay.
Robyn, I was going to do a bracket of most famous nurses on film, but all I got was like the nurses from ER or Hot Lips from MASH. So there wasn't enough to do a bracket. But I do have two. One short one of them that for you guys. We're talking live with Duane and Robyn for the 48. And ladies and gentlemen, it's time for bracket bit.
All right, boys, you guys know what that sound means. It's time for bracket bit. Bracket bit. Bracket bit. Whoa, 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 whoa. Bracket bit. Bracket bit. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Fireside Chats.
I love it. That's awesome.
Bracket bits on courtesy of Kurt Grewan, who did the music for Last Lessons, and Jovi Olivas on the vocals. And special thanks to filmforfood.tv, Paul Jarrett, who does all my logos. So big ups to them. So the first one. All right, I got one additional question for Duane and Robyn. All right, you guys are fans of Disney and you're fans of Comic-Con. You guys cosplay. Yes. Here's the choices for you. You get the choice of one of these two things. All right.
Okay.
A full weekend at Disney where you and your entire family have the park to yourselves, or a full day at San Diego Comic-Con where you have the entire con to yourself. That means every Hall H, front row, speaking only to you, 0 lines. You get to be first in line for every event.
Yeah.
All right.
You want the Hall H thing. Hall H for sure.
I'll do Hall H.
VIP Disney or VIP Comic-Con? You guys are picking VIP Comic-Con?
Here's the deal, Lou. I am VIP Disney because I'm a former Disneyland ambassador. So I have free passes to Disneyland. I'm super lucky. They're super generous with me. I was a tour guide. I can provide a free VIP tour of Disneyland for myself and my family.
And we've been in Disneyland hours before.
Yeah, hours before it opened. Like we've got like the BTS of Disneyland together. So no, I think Hall H hands down, right? Yeah, for sure.
Okay, all right. I was just trying to test your test where your heart was pulling you on that one.
Yeah.
All right.
Hall H.
Duane and Robyn.
The heart's in Disney. The heart's in Disney, but the practicality.
The practicality is right. All right. So everybody talks about the genres for the 48. Duane and Robyn, there is a competition between you and the other team leaders of every other 48-hour film festival in the world. All right.
Okay.
And you have to decide which bracket. You have to decide which genre of film you're going to make. I'm going to give you two genres. You're going to tell me which one you would rather feel that you two as a team would be better prepared to make a movie in. You ready?
We've written together before, so this should be good.
Let's get after it then here.
Okay.
And the first one is comedy or silent film.
I would go silent.
I agree.
Silent
film.
Vacation holiday or detective cop.
Detective cop for me. Detective cop.
All right, musical or sci-fi.
Sci-fi.
I can't not. I would love to make a musical, but I can't not.
Yeah, see, even you guys hate the
It might be a
genre. That's
musical
right.
sci-fi. Yeah.
Dark comedy or dark comedy or fantasy.
Those
Dark
are
comedy.
hard.
We've never gotten dark
I
comedy.
like dark
literally
comedy.
my wheelhouse.
They're hard to write, though. You and I have tried to write a dark comedy.
Yeah, don't let get out of the envelope.
All right, dark comedy.
Dark comedy. All right. Next up is action or thriller suspense. I guess they're similar.
I would go action.
I agree with that. I agree with action. Yeah.
Western or mockumentary.
I want to make a mockumentary. I love that genre. I wish we would include it more. What about you?
Mockumentary.
Are you okay with that one? Okay, mockumentary.
Right. Horror and romance.
I'd go horror.
Yeah, sure.
Film de femme or drama.
Film de femme. For sure.
Horror or film de femme.
I still go film de femme for me.
Yeah,
What
I'd
do you
go
think?
film to film. I've always wanted to do a horror, but I think film to film. And I just turned it into a horror.
Yeah. Turn it into a horror.
Happy wife,
That's
happy
a good
film
one.
set, huh, Duane?
That's
All
right.
Yeah, all right. Action or mockumentary.
I can't get the. Who was it that did the mockumentary about the Milli Vanilli? It was David Dietrich. What was the name of their team? That was the best mockumentary I think I've ever seen. I still want a mockumentary for me.
Yeah, mockumentary.
Mockumentary. All right. Sci-fi or dark comedy.
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi.
Silent film or detective cop.
Silent.
I agree. Silent film. Yeah.
All right. Final four here. The other competition is tough. Silent film or sci-fi. You get to pick your genre.
I'd still go sci-fi.
Yeah, Duane's got to go sci-fi. He has way too many props, y'all.
You guys are uniquely prepared for that. I believe.
Garage is full of them.
Mockumentary or film de femme?
Sci-fi for sure.
Mock or film de femme?
I want to go with film de femme on this. That's my thing. I like them both.
Yeah.
But I think.
Yeah, I think film de femme.
I think you could write a stronger.
All right, hey, sci-fi film de femme. That's actually literally what Alien Story is. So, I've already made this movie out. So you guys got to make a decision here. Sci-fi film de femme or mix the genres, I guess, would be another option.
Well, I've done sci-fi before, so I think probably film de femme. I would do something I haven't done yet.
Film de femme with a sci-fi element.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I got you.
Be
So
like, I don't know, like Wonder Woman or Captain Marvel, something like that.
All right, that was the warm-up round. All right. So, out of all the genres, film de femme, is that your favorite? Would you say that I mean, sci-fi? You got a lot of that. Do you think it would be more interesting? And you guys.
Duane likes sci-fi. I really love film noir. That's one of my favorite genres. I helped to write a film noir with Cane Toad Productions a couple years ago. 11 years ago now. And for me, I like film noir. I love a good musical when it's done correctly, right? I love a mockumentary.
I would like to do a time travel.
Yeah, you would
I
be
think
good
that
at
time
that.
travel would be a lot of fun to do. Of course, sci-fi is always going to be at the top of the list.
What's the most you guys have ever? If you had to guess, what do you think the most you've ever seen somebody spend on a budget of a 48 film has been?
Honestly, we don't know because we don't ask for like.
Have you seen something where it's like something
like that? You mean like production value that we would go, holy crap, how did they get that? Like that kind of thing?
Yeah, how do they get that? How do they get that location? How do they rent that chopper? Like something like that.
Yeah, so I mean, we've seen like Sean Sahekashan, they met up with the Kuda family, and Isabella Kuda's father is a corporate pilot, and they got access to this amazing like corporate private jet, and they shot on that corporate private jet. I mean, but that was just kind of like happenstance, right? So he worked for the company, and they were able to do it. But I don't know about money. I don't know about the most money we've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't. That's hard to say because we've had teams that shot at the Children's Museum, and what was the other museum that they shot at?
I don't know.
There was another museum.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But I mean, it's hard to say because you can't.
The fleet.
I mean,
the fleet science.
Yeah,
Center.
you could pay for that, but they didn't. So
Right, because they know people that work there. It's the Fleet Science Center.
my first 48-hour film, I think, had a budget of $2,500 is what I spent, and 800 of that was for insurance, and 500 of it was for a coffee cart to come in and give everyone espressos and stuff right as we finished shooting. So that was kind of cool.
All right,
But, yeah, it's hard to say. Hard to say.
And finally, Duane and Robyn, I did notice that one of the things that seemed like you guys might be into is films, monster films, things like that. There's a lot of talk about the Snyder Cut coming out. Godzilla versus King Kong is also out here. So for our final bracket bit today, we're gonna do a battle of the monsters. You ready?
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, we're ready.
All right, here we
Right
go.
up Duane's alley.
This is
I
right
might
up
be
the
deferring to him a lot. Let's see.
All right. So in the first round here, and I'm going to put the link here for people if they want to play along. I believe that'll be the link. I don't know if. Oh, actually, no. I think it messed it up. All right. Anyway, I think that's a link to the thing. If not, here goes. First one is Godzilla versus the worms from Tremors.
Oh, Godzilla.
Godzilla for sure.
Yeah.
Man.
All right, Godzilla. The worms from Tremors are pretty cool. All right,
They are.
but all right, the Pale Man from Pan's Labyrinth or this creepy clown of It.
Oh.
This is a battle of the monsters.
Pennywise is freaking horrifying.
Yeah.
But so is that. I mean, I'm going to go with It. I'm going with Pennywise.
Yeah, I'd go with Pennywise.
Yeah.
All right, Audrey from Little Shop of Horrors,
Yes.
maniacal flesh-eating plant, or
Yes,
the
she's
Demogorgon from Stranger Things.
I actually think that the Demogorgon is just like when Audrey has PMS. I think is what that is.
I would go with that though.
Demogorgon.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Demogorgon.
Demogorgon. I mean,
I do love me some Audrey too, though.
It's got a winning personality, but not,
I know
not
she does. She's amazing.
All right, this has been a movie already, but Alien versus Predator, the Predator versus the Xenomorph.
Xenomorph.
I have no idea. I defer to Duane on this one.
Xenomorph.
Alien.
All right,
Xenomorph.
Xenomorph
the
is
long
right.
head.
All right.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I got it.
They never gave
Definitely
him a
that.
name. They never gave him a name, but it's from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. This is all the monsters. So Robert De Niro's. This is a compilation of the Frankenstein monsters, or Pinhead from Hellraiser.
I go with Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, keep it classic. Go with the monsters.
We can't hear you, Lou.
Oh,
there
sorry.
you are.
Sorry, I was helping my dad out for a second.
Oh, it's okay.
You said the monsters.
We're gonna go with the monsters. Yeah.
The monsters. All right, cool, excellent. Monsters. Move on. All right, the crawlers from The Descent, or Ed Wood special here, Bride of the Monster.
Bride of the Monster. I don't know the crawlers.
I don't know the crawlers either. Let's go with Bride of the Monster.
Bride of the Monster. Ed Wood moves on.
Ed Wood homage.
The Otachi from Pacific Rim, Leatherback, or Rancor from Star Wars.
Rancor, of course.
Rancor moves on. All right, not even a conference on that one. He said
when he's not sure, I'm 100%. I'm behind.
All right, we got the vampires and Nosferatu, Dracula as an entity, or we also have the Wolfman, Werewolf, Teen Wolf as an entry.
Classic. They put the two classics.
The two classics here together.
I like Dracula. What do you think?
What's that? What was the Nosferatu?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like super creep right there.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's
big time.
super creep.
Yeah.
I would go with that.
Okay, so yes, Dracula.
The Draculas. The Mummy. It's been done many different times, many different ways, or the Gremlins.
Oh, the Gremlins.
Gremlins. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
and like a 50-gallon jug of water.
Right.
And snacks for after
snacks
midnight.
after midnight.
Creature from Black Lagoon, another classic, or the Ring Girl.
Oh, she's creepy as hell.
I don't think I've seen that.
She's the one that crawls out from the TV, like with the long hair and the face.
Yeah, Ring Girl.
She's scary. Let's go with her.
The Ring Girl moves on.
Yeah.
The Blob or the Fly.
Both pretty classic. The Blob's pretty
The
scary.
Blob.
Yeah.
The Blob.
All right, the Blob.
On a warm day.
Cronenberg does not move on out of the first round. All right, so
Oh,
I've
sorry.
combined the Kraken and Cthulhu because they're both water-based monsters.
Okay.
But then also The Thing.
No. It's Jaws.
Can you zoom in on that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
The
Did I?
Kraken-
No. Okay, sorry. I'm looking at the wrong screen here. The Kraken
the
slash
Kraken
Cthulhu
versus Jaws.
Sorry about that. Oh, this is a
Those
water-based
are
round.
both good. But Jaws has scared the crap out of me since the beginning of time. Like, I love me a good Kraken, but Jaws is horrifying. What do you think?
Yeah, let's go with Jaws.
Okay, Jaws on that one. Jaws. It's that music. The dun 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 dun. Yeah.
I've been afraid of Jaws in the swimming pool. So
yes,
so
because that's where he lives, Lou. That's why you're scared of him there.
That's a completely legitimate reason to be scared
Yes,
in a swimming pool.
absolutely
Because Jaws
is.
might be there. All right, so the Kraken is cracked. Adios.
Yes.
All right, now the Martians from Mars attacks, some of my favorite aliens, or The Thing. This was the one. Sorry, I got it mixed up.
Or The Thing.
Ack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Martians from Mars attacks on that.
All right, Cloverfield Monster or Freddy Krueger.
Oh, Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
All right.
Ugh.
This is one of my favorite monster movies. The guy that won the Oscar recently, The Host, very underrated Korean monster movie. And I combined these because at first I wasn't going to put Jason and Mike Myers in because most of the other ones were more like supernatural. I feel like these guys are like real people, but they also have a supernatural element to them.
Yeah,
so I
they're
decided
for sure not just normal real people, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm combining them into one versus a scary Korean sea monster from The Host.
Oh, let's take the Korean sea monster.
Yeah, why not?
Right?
Korean sea
All right.
monster.
All right.
Now, the bugs from Starship Troopers or King Kong?
King Kong.
Yes,
Can't
agree.
have Godzilla
King
without
Kong.
King Kong.
Right.
The king of the monsters. All right, second round moves. Godzilla versus Pennywise.
Pennywise toast.
Yeah, I agree. I think we move Godzilla on.
Godzilla's good.
Yeah.
Demogorgon versus Xenomorph in
This is tough, but I'm gonna go with, I think the Xenomorph.
Yeah, Xenomorph.
Xenomorph.
Yeah.
the Monster versus the Bride of the Monster.
Oh.
This might be it for Ed Wood.
You know, let's bring in the film to film.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Yeah,
Bride of the Monster.
Okay.
Rancor versus Dracula.
Got to promote Rancor.
I don't know who Rancor is. Who is it? Do you know who it is?
Yeah.
The original trilogy nerds know who it is.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it.
Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, okay. Then I probably do know who it is. I just don't remember right now. Okay.
Now, Duane, tell me what you think about this, because I had a hot take the other day on my interview with David Dawson where I said Rogue. I thought I was giving him a hot take, and he said he agreed with me. I said Rogue One, if you take out the sort of feeling in your heart about the original trilogy, is by far the best of every single Star Wars movie. I think it's got the better action. It's visually better. It doesn't have a Hollywood ending. It has much better fights than.
Right. And I would agree with that. And a friend of mine.
See, I thought I had a hot take.
No, a friend of mine.
You're not. I've heard that before too.
We went to see Rogue One at the at a charity screening, and a friend went with me that's huge into Star Wars, and he said, "I've been waiting 30 years to see Darth Vader do that."
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah,
it's that time period that of Vader that we've never gotten. You know, after he becomes Darth Vader and before the events of the trilogy, where he's just a badass, and it's that little glimpse into that character and the possibilities.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought I had a hot take, and then I know people are like, yeah, pretty much.
It turns out everyone agrees with you.
Pretty much everybody is agreeing with me. All right, moving on in the bracket. Here we go.
Okay.
We are Gremlins and the Ring Girl.
This is Battle of the Monsters. Let's keep the Gremlins.
Yeah, let's keep the
them.
Gremlins. I mean, we can always, get more of them if we need them.
Yeah.
The Blob and Jaws.
I'm keeping Jaws on this. Jaws is terrifying.
Jaws
Do you think the Blob is scary as a monster?
Yeah, I would lean towards a Blob myself.
All right.
The
We'll go with the
Blob moves
Blob.
on.
I mean,
Josh.
Jaws is like a one-trick pony, man.
If I had $1 for every time somebody said that. All right, go ahead.
He also recently got accused of running those space lasers. I might have that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Sorry about
different.
that. Sorry, there was a different one. Sorry.
Yeah.
The Martians from Mars Attacks or Freddy Krueger.
I'd go Freddy.
I agree.
On this.
Freddy Krueger, yeah.
All right, the host, and I guess he's named Guamul or King Kong. This is a pretty easy one, I think.
King Kong.
King Kong.
Yeah.
All right, King Kong versus Freddy.
King Kong.
King Kong, yeah.
Yeah.
Gremlins versus the Blob.
Whoever we pick here goes up against King Kong, and King Kong wins. So it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter.
Just pick one, Lou.
Well, I think if we're going based on maybe being able to distract him with their numbers,
yeah. That's a good point.
Put the Gremlins up against
Sheer
them.
chaos. Sheer chaos.
Sheer chaos. You know, he might think he might feed them by mistake. Bride of the Monster or Rancor?
Rancor.
You sticking with Rancor? Okay.
All right. And then Godzilla versus the Xenomorph.
Godzilla.
Yeah.
It's gonna get down to King Kong.
King Kong versus Godzilla.
That's why they're the number 1 and 2 seeds. They are the favorites. They got a movie coming out, but I make the bracket. You make it official, guys. Godzilla or Rancor?
Man, I'm thinking Rancor, but
it's your bracket. It's your bracket, Duane. It's your bracket.
That's a coin flip. I'm gonna assume that the Rancor we're talking about is the post Luke Skywalker Rancor, which is not gonna do any good going up against anything. So let's go with Godzilla.
All right, Godzilla.
All right, and King Kong after a tough fight, I would assume takes out the Gremlins.
Yes.
This will be decided in a movie theater near you this year. But we have been talking with Duane and Robyn from the San Diego 48-Hour Film Project. They're also part of Filmapalooza. You've seen the thing scrolling all day today. Filmapalooza.org. Go for more information. We've talked about everything from the perception of the 48-Hour Film Festival to the realities of it, to what happens to the thumb drives, what is the judging process, what goes on behind the scenes, how much do they really make off this, and why they do it. And I think you guys have answered all the questions, and I think hopefully you guys have had fun during the interview. And
this has been a blast.
We also got some good information out about COVID protocols from a nurse, from somebody who knows what the hell they're talking about. So number one, I appreciate you guys for coming on and for being being open to answering all this.
Thanks, Lou.
Yeah.
But in a fun bracket that began as the Battle of the Monsters.
Now, before we decide this,
okay,
I'm gonna say that I think that you pulled a card trick on it. I think that there's something psychological going on here that you wanted it to end up.
Well,
so those little comments that you had at each one of those brackets.
Like you said, they're the outside.
I mean, look,
seeds
Godzilla, King Kong at the bottom. Come on, that was a psychological.
There is
trick.
a clear winner in this, though,
There's
right?
a clear winner. Yeah, there is a clear winner.
I mean,
and who is it?
Godzilla is
he's the king of the monsters.
He's the king of the monsters, but King Kong is this isn't like climb up on the Empire State Building King Kong. This is, I have my own island. I've been battling lizards and Mothra on my own private island for years.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I gotta tell you, one flame out of Godzilla's mouth and King Kong's a naked ape.
I love some of the memes though, like the Martha memes where they were like, "Why did you say that name?" Like the Superman versus Batman stuff.
I went to the place where they filmed Kong Skull Island, and I lifted those bones. It's not that impressive. I lifted one of the giant ones right over my head, so I'm not that impressed with King Kong, to be honest.
This is the one that I was talking about.
You were never a king. You were never even a monster. Say Mothra. Why did you say that? That's great.
That's been my favorite one. But again, my job is to make a creative bracket that's going to give you guys.
You're just facilitating here.
I facilitated it, just like you guys set up the genres and other people plays.
Or King Kong.
I'm going to say Godzilla.
I agree with you.
Godzilla versus King Kong. I mean, he is a mechanized nuclear lizard, so there is a precedent for him sort of.
Wait, is this Mechazilla or Godzilla?
but he's still nuclear, right? Even regular Godzilla's
I mean,
nuclear.
Well, yeah.
Nobody gets to be that big without being nuclear.
Right.
All right, guys. So the winner of the Battle of the Monsters, Godzilla, as we probably could have predicted it from the beginning. I thank you guys for being good sports. I appreciate you guys and doing what you do for without a lot of reward and stuff into it. So
there's a lot of reward in here. That's the important part.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you guys get I mean, I know you guys both have busy careers. You guys got lives, you got kids, you got a whole thing going on. Everybody's dealing with COVID. And I'm glad you guys got that creative outlet. So again, for filmmakers, young and old, testing out new people, finding new people to work with. Some of the best experiences that I've had doing the 48 is not having any sort of team and reaching out to people that were teamless, finding them. And some of those people that I brought onto my team are people that I've worked with and that I consider friends now, that I've put on posters for films. So there is a lot of benefit to being a filmmaker and being a part of this, especially if you're new. Get your reps in, make your mistakes, get your genres up, figure out what kind of movies you would make within that opportunity. There's a lot of good there. And hopefully we get to a post-COVID world where we can do a brick and mortar festival where we can be up there again. And so we can all get together. I'll leave it to you guys. What's the last words? Let people know where to go, etc.
Okay.
All right. We want to show you one thing real quick. Duane has a cool, exciting thing to show you.
Oh, Mr. Hamill himself, the Rancor killer.
Yeah. Duane won an awesome charity event thing, and he won dinner, and he got to go see Rise of Skywalker at the premiere up in LA. So it was very cool, and he got to have dinner with Mark Hamill. And that was the third time we had met him in person, which is a story for another night because you don't have another half hour for Duane to tell you his story. Yeah. So Filmapalooza, come see us at Filmapalooza. You'll see a lot of people from around the world. $48 for 4 days worth of entertainment, and you can see it later if you miss out on some of it. So
Filmapalooza, and then of course 48 later in the year for San Diego, and then in between Filmapalooza and the 48 for San Diego, I will be producing the currently called 48x2 animation competition.
Okay.
But I'm trying to get that to go to 48x4 instead. So more time for doing stop motion animation, computer animation, like that. So I was a partial producer on it last year. I'm going to produce the whole thing this year.
Oh, you just needed a couple of extra things on your plate.
Right.
Yeah.
One thing
coming up. Robyn mentioned earlier that we're actually sitting in the office of the as yet unfinished stop motion animation studio that I've been working on for a couple months. So I'll announce that when that's open and people can come, and we'll do a social distance responsible opening for it. And you'll get to see the new studio and everything. So it should be
very cool.
Kind of fun.
Awesome. When I did a bracket bit with David, we did Star Wars versus Marvel stars, and Luke Skywalker went against WandaVision in the first round. Thinking I thought it was an easy win for Luke Skywalker. David Dawson took Wanda over Luke Skywalker round one. Yeah.
I'm enjoying WandaVision a great deal, and even I wouldn't pick that over Luke Skywalker.
I don't know, and since these bracket bits, I separate them as videos themselves. So once I put his out, I'm going to tag Mark Hamill in it and see what he feels about losing in the first round. All right. Anyway, Duane and Robyn, again, thank you guys for coming on. Filmapalooza coming up. Duane's Stop Animation Studio coming up soon, and then we have the 48 coming up soon. So a lot of stuff happening. I hope to spend some time with you guys IRL as soon as we get into a more normalized version of what we are. Thank you guys for coming on. This has been Beef Chief Burrito, and we are out.
Thanks, Chief.